Scream, the remake of the groundbreaking horror movie in which the villain...
Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, Dawn of the Dead, The Hills Have Eyes, Amityville Horror, Last House on the Left, Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street, My Bloody Valentine, When a Stranger Calls, Prom Night, Black Christmas, House of Wax, The Fog, Piranha. It's one of those, right?
Welcome back to Don't Press Play, the podcast where I press play so you don't have to. Today we're diving into the 2010 remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes, that's right. Michael Bay got his hands on another horror classic and said, what if we removed all the charm and replaced it with CGI and trauma? Spoiler alert, it's bad. Really bad. And listen, I'll admit something. I used to defend this movie every single time it came up. I used to say, no, I love the micro-nap idea. I love that supermarket dream overlap scene. I love the Freddy cave. And hello, Kyle Gallner is my horror crush forever. So he makes his movie watchable. But after rewatching, I hate this film. I hate this film so much. And by the end of this episode, you'll probably hate it too. So let's roll the trailers and I will see you on the other side.
You open this door, Krueger!
What do you think I did? I didn't do anything!
I'm having these dreams. And there's this man. And he's burned.
Don't fall asleep.
Never sleep again.
You have nothing to worry about. This won't hurt one little bit.
So, the movie opens in a diner, which is already a red flag because it feels like every other horror remake of the 2000s. We meet Dean, our first victim, who's so caffeinated, he could probably see through time. And he's having nightmares, and within 5 minutes, Freddy's got him. Now, I will admit, as an opening scene goes, it's fine, it's okay. So, it's not going too bad for an opening kill. But in the original, I think the deaths are a lot more shocking. They're violent, but they're also creative. Like Tina's ceiling death still haunts people decades later. And in the remake, it's just Dean slicing his own throat in front of everyone. Effective, maybe, but it's missing that surreal dream logic flair that made the original so unforgettable. From there, we meet the rest of the cast, and listen, they do not feel like teenagers. They feel like grown adults who have lost their way to a A-level sign-up day, honestly. And in the original, you believe that Nancy, Glenn, Tina, and Maud are all real kids, and they laugh together, they have sleepovers, and they tease each other. So when Freddy shows up, that we're very hurt that when we lose them, we really feel that sadness. And in this one, we literally don't care. They're just cardboard cutouts of social security numbers, and they exist simply to die, cannon fodder, disposable. And the only one with any heart is Quinton, who is kind of our Glenn replacement. And that's only because Cal Garner showed up and decided that, yeah, she wanted to act that day. And also because it's Cal Garner, and I just need him every day. So, Nancy, oh boy, Nancy in this movie is awful. So, the actress has literally said that she doesn't even want the role, and that after she auditioned, she was like, I know for a fact I got that, and I don't want it. And now listen, literally nobody forced you to take this role, but whatever. And it shows because she's miserable the entire movie. She's dead-eyed, checked out, and she's clearly counting the minutes until her paycheck clears. But listen, horror actors often get thrown into stuff that they don't love, but if you're playing Nancy Thompson, one of the most iconic final girls of all time, at least act the enthusiasm. Instead, she gave us high school art girlie who hates you for breathing too loud, and it's not final girl energy at all. Like, we get it, you're depressed, but like, go do another film, man. Because, girl, this is awful. Awful. Okay, so let's talk Freddy. Freddy, because wow, did they fumble this 10,000 times. So we have Jackie Earl Haley, and he had the impossible task of stepping into Robert Englund's shoes or glove. And I'll be real, he does his best. The voice is creepy, his presence is there, but the makeup is yikes. He looks like a baked potato that's been left in the oven too long, or an oven fry that's been left at the bottom of the oven for about 5 years. And I know they tried to go for like a real life Burns victim, but it just doesn't work. The film is color graded so dark that you completely lose his face, and it just literally looks like he looks like the Scarecrow from Bob the Builder. If anyone's ever seen what I'm talking about, that's exactly what he looks like. And I think the bigger issue at hand is that they really doubled down on this child predator backstory. In the original, it was always danced around and you knew Freddy was evil, but it was left vague enough so that you could enjoy him as this kind of cartoonish dream demon. But here, they're very explicit in the fact that he is a predator, and it's really uncomfortable. And then they tried to keep Robert Englund's one-liners in there, and you don't do both. You can't say that this man is literally a paedophile and then give him, like, rim job jokes. It's absolutely gross, and it's so tone-deaf, and it completely ruins any chance of Freddy being scary, because you don't laugh with him, you don't fear him, you just kind of recoil and wonder who thought this was a good idea in the writer's room. And I think one of the main cons that I take with this film is that it really does start to build up this idea of repressed trauma and what trauma can look like through dreams. And I think had they gone with this and had they really explored this repressed trauma ideology, it would be a lot more stronger. But they simply lose it towards the, like, not even towards the end. They start to build this up, and, you know, we have scenes of, like, them starting to remember and starting to piece things together of what happened as kids. And then at one point they try and say, oh, this Freddy was innocent and we all lied and made it up. And it's like, guys, you simply cannot come straight out with it and be like, Freddy's a paedophile. Freddy is a paedophile. And then say, oh, actually, you guys are lying. And then say, oh, no, actually, he is a paedophile. And then the parents do weird things as well, like keeping their little kids' clothes with claw marks in. And I'm thinking, had your child, touch wood, never happens to anyone, had your child been attacked by a man wearing a glove, you wouldn't have kept any of that. It should be in a police evidence locker somewhere, not up in your attic. And it kind of really does kind of emphasize on this, like, these kids were never told about what happened to them, and the repressed memories are coming up through their dreams, and they're having nightmares about this guy who did these awful things to them. And then it's just like Freddy Krueger's making jokes about, like, having a wet dream. And it's just like sucking dick and cock, time and place. And it just doesn't belong when you're gonna have Freddy be this. Like, if you're gonna be this, like, horrendous, like, prolific child molester, like, then stick with it and don't have Freddy cracking jokes. And also, do your audience a favor, because there will be people watching it who have sadly, like, suffered with awful things in their life, and they're already gonna be a bit triggered. And then, you know, have the backbones, have these characters face their demons and explore that repressed trauma. Don't just then be like, nah, Nightmare on Elm Street. It's just a bit insulting to me. It really is. And especially when you have, like, a character like Nancy Thompson, who in the first one is such a heroine, and to a lot of people, she is that, like, strength. I think for me in the original, when Nancy Thompson is like, "Hey, Freddie, can't you catch me?" And, she really eggs him on, and it's that whole thing of Nancy, she is a fighter, she's into survival, and she really owns what's happened, and she really goes for it. And then we have this character, this Nancy, who's literally does not care. Like, we get it. Like, she's too cool to be on Elm Street. And it's just, like, you can't have all these awful themes and not have a final girl to back it up, because, like, that's the joy of horror, is, like, bad things happen, especially in slashers, awful things are happening, and we have this final girl to help us come through at the other end. And, like, that's kind of why, especially is why I love horror. Like, Sydney in Scream 2, like, she is literally, as I'm about to leave my house, there is a picture of Sidney Prescott from Scream 2 in a frame, because before I leave the house, I think I need to channel Sidney Prescott in Scream 2. I need to get shit done, and I need to see whatever I'm going through till the end. And that's just kind of probably one of the main reasons why I love horror so much, is it's always that ending of seeing things through. And yeah, they see things through in this film, but it's just like, there's none of that, like, fight. There's none of that survival. And the scares are laughable. In the original, Wes Craven gave us some of the best practical horror of the 80s. Freddy stretching through the wall like he's made of latex, Tina getting dragged across the ceiling, and, Glenn's bed being covered in blood. These weren't just kills, they're like iconic moments of horror cinema, and in the remake, they just CGI the walls, CGI the claw, CGI Freddy, and nothing has weight and nothing feels real. And not even in a dreamlike, it's all pixels and post-production, and watching it, it feels like booting up a PlayStation 2, and it's like a cutscene in Tomb Raider. Now, the micronaps had potential, and I will give them that. The concept that you can't fight sleep forever, and that your brain will shut down even for seconds at a time, is terrifying. And there's a scene in a supermarket where the dreams and reality overlap, and it almost works, but almost isn't good enough. Every time the movie gets momentum, it face plants in bad effects and even worse pacing. Like, had they done that micronap thing, and Freddy himself is like, "Oh, when you die, you've got 7 minutes left, and I've got 7 minutes to play." He never ever does that ever again. Like, we never see him tormenting characters for 7 minutes after the first time he does it. And it's like, right, well, why tell us then? If you're not going to do it, why would you tell us? Why, you don't do anything with these ideas. We have someone that's doing, like, an internet blog of him trying to stay awake for as long as he can, and then we never hear about it ever again. And it's the same with these micronaps. It's like, you can't stay awake forever, so why not have that as part of a film? People trying to avoid those micronaps. But again, it doesn't happen, and it's so annoying. By the time we hit the finale, Nancy and Quentin drive themselves to Freddy's lair, which looks like a Hot Topic version of a haunted house, and they face off against him. It's quick, it's kind of boring, and then, of course, we get the obligatory Freddy isn't really dead ending, because sequels, right? Jokes on them, we never got them. And thank God, because here's the thing, Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street is a love letter to horror, to imagination, to the practical effects that made dreams feel real, to the care of crafting characters that we love so their deaths mean something. And this remake is not a love letter, it's a ransom note written in crayon. It's miserable, joyless, and worst of all, it tries to make Freddy darker while asking us to laugh at him. You can't do both. You don't make chuckle at a child predator. That's not edgy, that's just gross. And staying on that topic with the finale, we have such an awful scene of Nancy dragging Freddy back into the real world and giving this awful, awful one-liner, "You're in my world now, bitch." I'm like, oh, well, now she's got a personality. The runtime nearly fucking hour and a half, and now you've got personality. Are you joking? It's just like, so it's dicey. It's really dicey. Although, the one thing I will give this film is the ending with Connie Bright's character, where Freddy comes through the mirror, through her eyes, and drags her through the mirror. I thought, if you could fix one thing about Nightmare on Elm Street, it would be that ending with Marge going through the door. So, I will give you guys that, okay? I will give you the ending scene, because that was good. That was good. So, do I recommend the 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street? No, Hard no. If you want Freddy, go back to the original, go to Wes Craven's version. Even Freddy vs. Jason is more fun than that, and at least that movie knew that it was ridiculous. This remake is a textbook example of why not every horror classic needs a gritty reboot. Sometimes camp is the point, sometimes the magic is in the craft, and sometimes the monster is scarier because he's fun and not molesting children. This one, it's just awful, and you can trust me because I pressed play so that you don't have to. That's all for this week's Nightmare, my friends. Thank you so much for listening to Don't Press Play. If you enjoyed this rant, drop me a review, share it with your horror pals, or just go rewatch the original Nightmare and remind yourself what real horror magic looks like. Until next time, sweet dreams. Dreams, dream, 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 dream.